We're even better stocked up today than usual because we got news and sports director Rob Jones here, ladies and gentlemen.
61 rounds of freedom
61.
in the building right now.
60 rounds of little ammunition and one big old round of Rob Jones, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Rob is our news and sports director, as most of you probably know. If you pay attention to local sports, you just about always hear Rob. I drive by here on Sunday and I see you here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's always a lot. And, I took a vacation Christmas week, so it was almost like the week before that was like packing 2 weeks into one, and the week after was like putting 2 weeks into one. So, there's always a lot going on, man, for sure.
I took a little vacation myself. I didn't enjoy it much.
Yeah, we heard.
I didn't enjoy my vacation all.
And I was looking forward to being back on the return episode yesterday, and of course we had a news deal that was going on that we had to go and cover yesterday. So
somebody gets shot in Fort Dodge, most of the town wants to know.
Yeah, they want to know, and
just to make sure it wasn't their brother-in-law.
Well, and unfortunately, it happens more often than it should in a town this size. It really does.
Well, you're still a relative newcomer to Fort Dodge. If you'd have been here in the old days, there's somebody getting shot every now and then. It's just kind of the way we do things.
Well, so it used to be worse than it is now.
Oh, yeah. We used to be a packing plant town. There were 2,000 jobs in this town. They were tied directly to meat packing plants.
Okay.
And that was back in the days when some of the old boys would lug a quarter side of beef, haul it out of the plant, and put it into a I guess the truck driver would take it from there, but they'd haul it by hand all the way out to the truck, and then the truck driver had a hook, and he'd slide it in there, and they'd load the whole truck with sides of beef.
Off the books, of course.
No. It was that was their job to do it.
I thought you meant off the books.
So some of those guys, at the end of the day, they were feeling kind of ornery.
Yeah. Okay.
And they made a better wage than packing plants do now. So they'd come downtown. We had 50 some bars at that time. They'd come downtown looking to work off some energy.
Okay. I got you.
And sometimes the police would get involved.
A little pent up energy and that liquid courage don't always mix too well.
Yeah, and young men too. I've been there myself. I remember I picked a fight with a guy that looked like a redheaded Clint Eastwood. It didn't go well, Rob. It didn't go right. I'd had way too many drinks. He don't look so tough. Well, the next day he did. Are you kidding me? I picked a fight with that guy. Anyway, Rob is from South Carolina, and a little town not too far from
Clemson.
Clemson, that's right.
Yeah.
How? What's the name of your hometown again?
The name of my hometown is Seneca, which is right across the county line in Oconee County, and Clemson is in Pickens County. So if you drive across the bridge from where I'm from, you're in Clemson.
Yeah, you said it was only like 12. Where you grew up is only like 12 miles from Clemson.
Yeah.
I struggled with this because I'm a Big Ten guy, but I just couldn't bring myself to root for Ohio State, and Clemson was looking strong again this year, and they had what I still believe is the number one draft choice in Trevor Lawrence.
Very possible.
Everybody say he's going to Jacksonville, and he might. I still think he's better than Justin Fields. Fields had a great game. I can't take it away from him. You throw a ball 60 yards down the field into the end zone complete, you're having a good day.
Yeah. They're both amazing talents. 1A and 1B depends on, I guess, what you're looking at or what you're looking for specifically. I don't think you can go wrong with either guy.
But I still couldn't bring myself to pull for Ohio State. And I was genuinely expecting Clemson to pull out the win. Yeah. Boy, that was wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah, they got it handed to them.
Boy, didn't they?
They couldn't.
Did you see that coming, really?
I didn't think it would be as bad as it was. I really didn't. Clemson had never lost to Ohio State. They'd only met 4 or 5 times prior, but they'd never lost to Ohio State before. So it was kind of this built-in thing that, teams in that region of the country feel like they're going to beat Ohio State when they play them, and usually they do. But in this case, Clemson didn't have anything for them. And I think really the most important part of the whole thing, Mike, was, I don't make excuses because I'm not really a Clemson guy. I'm just from down there. But when Skowski got kicked out of the game for targeting the linebacker, I think that changed the game a lot.
Well, come on. How are you supposed to play defense?
Yeah.
How are you supposed to play
defense?
That's
kind of the way I felt, too. Did he lead with the crown of the helmet? He did. But the guy he was tackling was going down, too. So, you have to. Your shoulders are connected to your head and your neck. You know what I mean? It's all connected. So, if one goes one way, the other's going to go with it. So, I don't know. I think in a game of that magnitude, you have to let guys play. I do. And I thought that was a big change in the game. I mean, the guy, to me, as great as Trevor Lawrence is, James Skalski is the most important player Clemson has. He may not be the most in terms of talent, but he is in terms of value, because the drop-off between where he's at and the guy behind him is such immense proportions there, and we saw that come to light in that game.
Well, for God's sake, the guy supposedly target was Fields, and Fields put on a good. He's probably hurt. He got hit in the side, but for God's sake, he was coming through the line. His forward momentum was still in progress, and Skalski, is that the way I can never pronounce it?
Yeah, Skalski.
Skalski. He had just turned in that direction, following the runner, in this case Fields. He had no time, even if he had wanted to move his helmet away from Fields and prevent what the referee said was targeting, which I did not see targeting. I've seen that play since the Clemson-Ohio State game 15 times. I still don't see targeting.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the call either, and I do think it hurt Clemson. But ultimately, I also think they just couldn't get a pass rush. They've had trouble against quality opponents this year in creating a pass rush. The game where the first game against Notre Dame, where they got beat in South Bend, they couldn't create a pass rush in that game, and it hurt them. And you saw that again. And I think a lot of that, some of that is change in the defense. They've changed schemes a little bit. They used to be a 4-3 defense. Now they've went to a 3-4 defense, which can change the complexion of how you can get pressure with 3 down linemen as opposed to 4. And I also don't think they have the personnel on the defensive line that they've had. I mean, you look around the NFL, they've got a lot of guys that at that defensive line position that are playing on Sundays now that were there a few years ago. So I think that's a big part. And to me, Clemson didn't have the same edge that they've had, especially at the line of scrimmage, in terms of they didn't play with that edge from a standpoint of the line of scrimmage, and I think that was a big difference in this year's team, and I think we saw that in that game.
Let's not just blame Trevor Lawrence or the bad targeting call. As you alluded to, Clemson's got to do something about that defensive line.
They do.
I mean, the offensive line protects Lawrence pretty well, and he's 6'6". He sees down the field. I mean, he's something to watch. He's got that great arm. He's got great control of the ball. I think their offense is okay. I don't think that Lawrence is coming back next year.
No, he's not coming back. I mean, I would be completely shocked if he came back. But their backup quarterback is pretty good. DJ Uwangale from California is a pretty good player. And in the game he had to start when Trevor was out with COVID, he started at Notre Dame. He threw for over 400 yards in his first ever career start. I mean, they lost that game. They didn't lose that game because of the quarterback position.
There was a time, this was really before your time, when a quarterback from California would never go to the East Coast. Clemson did not. I mean, USC was there, UCLA was there, Stanford. I mean, Stanford still is a quality team. But UCLA, USC, I mean, that's O.J. Simpson's old school.
Or Arizona State or something like that.
Arizona State, there you go. I mean, they would have never got out to the East Coast because the West Coast schools would have been all over him from about the time he was in 8th grade,
Well, that and how much information was available on the East Coast schools. It isn't like it is now where you go on the computer and you can see campus from the computer. You know what I mean? Like that's can't. Wild, isn't it? Yeah, it is. You can't do that. You couldn't do that in those days, and that's why so much of that was so much more regional. And the Clemson brand in the last few years, with the national championships and playing in the playoffs, playing in big primetime games and situations. I mean, it's become a more national brand than it used to be.
I'm not a big Dabo fan, but he's got a high profile.
He does.
He knows how to promote the team. He knows how to work with Clemson.
He does. He says sometimes he gets a little ahead of himself, like probably don't vote the team you're going to play 11th in the poll going into that game.
I really think that inspired Ohio State.
I think so too. I mean, that's anytime you create bulletin board material, it can come back to bite you. I don't believe in doing that unless you have the kind of team that you need to motivate your team with that. Like the old Miami teams, like with Jimmy Johnson. And I understand doing that with those guys because those guys were motivated. The more you taught, the more you stirred those guys up. And the more you talked to them, they were going to become motivated. They thrived on that. But unless your team has that personality, I don't see the point of why you would do that.
That was classic Dabo, though. That was classic.
He does it all. I mean, he's done it. You know, I followed the guy. I used to work down there when I first started, when he first got that job, and it was worse then than it is now.
Where's he from? Is he from South Carolina?
No, he's from Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah, he's from
that's
Alabama.
right. He was on Saban's staff for a while, wasn't he, or not?
No, he was a player at Alabama and then was a GA for Gene Stallings at Alabama when Gene Stallings was the head coach. He was a player on the national championship team that Gene Stallings was coach for in the early 90s, like 92, I think it was.
Yeah.
So he started there and kind of made his rounds from there. And he was at Clemson as the receiver coach, and Tommy Bowden got fired. And then he ended up being interim coach and started the whole all-in movement. That was his big catchphrase, was all in, all in, all in. And that's all you heard for like that whole time. I was like, this guy's got a campaign slogan. Like, he's campaigning for that job, and he got it.
He got her. You know, I'll never understand what happened to the Bowden kids, you know. Bobby Bowden, the dad, had how many great years down in Florida. I mean, he was a major coach. You know?
Sure.
But Tommy, and he has a brother, I think.
Terry,
yeah. They both got into coaching, and you know, they were mediocre at best.
Well, Terry had a really good run early at Auburn, but he took over when they were on probation. And he went like the first year, I think he went undefeated. And the next year, I think they lost like maybe one. They had a really good run. And then that kind of fell apart. And then he ended up north in like Akron or somewhere for a long time. And then recently he was down at Clemson on the support staff. And then he just got another job somewhere else. And I can't, where it is escapes me right now, but he got another job. Tommy was coaching at Clemson, got fired, had gotten an extension. So his buyout was nice. And he didn't really have to do anything for a while because that buyout was really
nice. Look at Herman down there in Texas.
Yeah. He had a great agent. Like, I remember that summer, everybody, and this was before I was in this business, and everybody was saying, well, Tommy Bowden's going to go to Arkansas. Like, that was a big rumor, was Tommy Bowden's going to leave Clemson and go to Arkansas. And I said, yeah, his agent started that rumor. Because that's how he ended up getting a buyout and extension. And then he ended up doing some TV work. And I think that's still what he's probably doing down there in that region.
That could be. I put on my Facebook page Sunday after Herman got fired at Texas. I said, how did I put that? Herman of Texas has been fired after a 34-28 record over 5 years. I thought, and then I put this in my post. That would have got Kirk Ferentz a 5-year contract extension.
I mean, it's landscape difference, man. It really is such a landscape difference because, and Tom Herman, honestly, he took over a pretty bad situation there. Charlie Strong was there prior and had trouble getting it going, and Tom Herman stepped in and took over kind of a difficult situation. I know this year they underachieved and everything, and if they want to fire him, if that's what they think they should do, fine. But I don't know that Steve Sarkisian is the answer, because last time I seen him as a head coach, he was pretty mediocre.
Where was he head coach?
He was a head coach at Washington.
Was that where he was?
Yeah, he was a Washington head coach. He was on the staff at Southern Cal during their big run with Pete Carroll and those guys. And then he just now was Alabama's offensive coordinator. Still is Alabama's offensive coordinator.
Remember where Pete Carroll came from?
Originally, I think the LA Rams or somewhere.
Well, that's in pros, but he coached USC as I recall.
Well, Southern Cal, yeah. He was the head coach there, but I think he was the LA Rams before that.
I think you're right.
Then Southern Cal, and then now Seattle Seahawks.
I got to get you in here on Friday, frankly, when we talk basketball with Mulholland and Kuhlman, because Randy is maybe a specialist in the Big Ten, and Nevin's all about the Big East. But when it comes to countrywide coverage, you're the man.
Well, I
what was that mid
the Metro Conference we were talking about.
God, you pulled that out of midair. I went, what Metro? God, I hadn't heard that in years.
Yeah, the old Metro Conference was a great conference, and it kind of gets lost in history, in the shuffle.
But I had heard of it.
Way back in the 70s. DePaul was in it, Marquette was in it, Cincinnati was in it at one time. That was a great conference for its time, and too bad that it more or less dissolved because the teams that were in it that were football schools went elsewhere, and then the teams that weren't, just kind of found a basketball league. And Mulholland's a Big East guy now because Creighton's in the Big East. He wasn't a Big East guy probably prior to that. But wherever Creighton goes, he's going to
go with it. I don't blame him. He graduated from law school at Creighton. He was University of South Dakota Jackrabbit before that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
South Dakota State Jackrabbit?
South Dakota State, excuse me, yeah. Or was he a coyote? I don't know. I've asked him 5 times. Can't be that important if I can.
No, because his allegiance is Creighton. That's the one that's important.
Oh, yeah. The one that's important to him is Creighton.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And they got a really good team. I'd really like to see – I'd love to see them in Iowa play at some point. I'd love to see them match up in the tournament, Granted that we have the tournament, which the last time, I don't know if you heard this, but they're talking about taking all of the games in the tournament and playing in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. What was the reasoning behind that?
I don't know, because my thing is, okay, if you spread it out to just a few sites, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you condensed it to a few sites. If one team got COVID in one of those sites, you would have a maximum, let's say, of 8 teams that could get COVID and then not be able to play. If everybody's there, all 68 teams are there, and somebody gets COVID, then all 68 teams in theory could all get COVID and we could have a canceled tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I don't really know why they want to try to do this bubble thing like the NBA did, but the NBA did it with a much smaller amount of teams because it was just the teams that were in the playoff hunt in each side. So it was there's 8 on each side and then the other 2 teams. So 18 teams or 20. As opposed to 68. So I don't know. I don't know how that works. To me, my brother and I actually were talking about that yesterday. And, we were talking about it would make more sense to, instead of doing a ton of different sites, let's just do 4 sites or whatever, 4 straight regions. And at least at the worst, only, the teams from one region get COVID and can't play at that point. Right. This could be one of those deals where somebody gets it and then the opponent gets it and then everybody gets it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm optimistic though.
We're going to get back to the CFP here because it's I saw the after Clemson got beat by Ohio State. There of course was an after game interview with Debo,
right,
and with Nick Saban. I was watching all Saturday. I guess the games were on, and the contrast between the coaches couldn't have been greater. Here's Saban. How many national championships has he got? Like 7 or 8.
Right.
And he's as humble as can be. But Dabo is, but he's put together a winner, Clemson. I can't take anything away from him because he's proved it on the field.
Yeah, and they get great players, and he's been able to kind of sell everybody on the whole Clemson thing. Clemson's very, it's a small place.
Yeah.
It's very close-knit, very family-oriented place.
Only about 15,000 people.
It depends on if everybody's away from school. Yeah, like town itself is probably 15,000 people, but then you add in, the students or whatever.
Yeah.
And you've got a, decent-sized town. And it's growing. I was just home Christmas week and drove through there, and I hadn't been home in about 3 years. It's grown twice what it was since I've been gone. So it's growing exponentially because of the success that the football team. Sure. But yeah, it's a very close knit thing, family oriented thing, built on faith. A little bit different. We're basically Saban's selling you on, you come to Alabama because we're Alabama. We're going to compete for the championship. We're going to win the championship. And yeah, you may not start your first year, but by the time you're a junior, because it's Alabama and you get your chance to play, you're going to play for money the following year. There's a little bit of a contrast in how they sell the 2 programs.
Before I forget, I got to recognize a friend of mine, the most beautiful girl in Florida. Shannon is watching on StreamYard today.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah. So if you'd like to see and hear what's going on in the studio, go to my Facebook page. That's at AM 1400 KVFD. Go to the Alpha Media website. I was forgetting that yesterday. Alpha Media.
As far as on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to Fort Dodge News Alpha Media on Facebook.
Okay. That's where we're broadcasting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you linked it on there. Okay.
Yeah, there you are. There's your face right there, buddy.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we got it all going on there. And what's our it's alphamediafd.com. Is that
our website is yourfortdodge.com.
Your Fort Dodge. God, I've only worked there 12 years. I should catch up with that. Anyway, Rob Jones is our guest news and sports director, and we're coming up on the biggest college game of the year, of course, Ohio State,
Right.
which proved itself. I hate to say it, but again, I got to give respect where respect is due. Ryan Day has picked up, and Urban Meyer was a great coach, even though he kind of gets on my nerves a little bit, especially when he was in Florida.
Yeah, I don't care for him either.
Yeah, but since he's been on the Big Ten Network as a commentator.
Yeah,
and he really has thinking man's football going on.
Yeah, and been on Fox too. You know, he works with Fox too, and he's good at it. He's good on TV. Like the stuff that he can break down on TV, not a lot of people can. Like, I mean, he's good at what he does, and as far as that goes, that's fine. And he's a great coach. I mean, everywhere the guy's ever been, he's won.
He's won. You ask some coaches question after the game, they go, well, definitely something we don't want to see. We're going to have to look at that in the game films. No, that's not what Urban Meyer says. He said, that guy screwed up over there, and we're going to take care of it.
Yeah, he's one of the, a lot of guys can't just go anywhere and win. There's only a handful of coaches that can do that. Urban Meyer's one of those guys.
He is. He is one of those guys. So Ohio State, Alabama, where are you putting your money?
I like Bama.
You like Bama?
I would like them even more if this game was the first game of the playoffs, because I love Saban. Saban almost never loses the first game of the playoffs because he has that extra time to prepare. He's as good as anybody with that. Shorter time to prepare. He's a little more vulnerable, but I still like Alabama in this situation. I really do. I think their defense can get enough stops, and I think their offense is right now is clicking on all cylinders. So I think it's going to be probably a pretty high-scoring game, but I like Alabama to be able to win the game. I love their experience. They got a lot of guys who've been in this situation before. So
yeah. Have we heard from the bookies yet?
I have not checked what the line is. I do not know. I really haven't looked at it yet.
Randy Coleman's always got the line somewhere. He does. He's always got the line. He always knows who's a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, and he knows the line. So frankly, I think Ohio State's going to win. But I just have such negative attitudes about Ohio State built up over the many, many years.
Yeah.
Because Ohio State, and this is before your time, before most of our listeners' time. We had an athletic director at Iowa called Forrest Evashevsky. Actually, it was the last time we won the Rose Bowl in 1956. Alex Karras was playing for the Hawkeyes at the time, and he died of old age a few years ago.
Wasn't he the guy on Webster?
Yes, he was.
Oh, okay.
And he played for the Detroit Lions for several years. Right. He was a big old boy. Of course, he was from Indiana, as a matter of fact. Anyway, Evashevsky and Woody did not like each other. As a matter of fact, they had a Big Ten coaches meeting one time, or athletic directors meeting, and Woody got mad at Forrest and tore off across the room at him. He was going to beat the hell out of him. So there was some, and of course, Ohio State beat us so badly every single year. Right. Our coaches were like Jerry Burns and Ray Nagel and poor Bob Cummings. The students loved him so much. Bob Cummings was in the late 70s. The students loved him so much that they used to burn dog manure on his front steps. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Is this an irate Ferentz fan, or what do we got here?
Oh, no, just I think if you look it up there, Alex Karras probably died younger than you, so if he died old age.
Very well could be. But see, I'm never going to die. I went toe-to-toe. I went toe-to-toe with COVID, knocked it out. Knocked it out.
I mean, the biggest pandemic that we've ever seen. That's couldn't right. kill you.
It couldn't, and I used to tell the nurses, the nurses come in, well, we're concerned by, I said, don't worry. I'm walking out of this hospital. I'm going to beat this thing without a doubt. And I did, too.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, Mike.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back. Yeah, Rob Jones, anyway, is our guest. So, again, I'm so torn by the Ohio State-Alabama game. I can tell you I am a admirer of Nick Saban's. He was up at Michigan State, and he's been around the country, and he certainly paid some dues. Was he at LSU?
Yeah, he won a championship.
That's right, he won a championship.
And then went to Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
Sometimes the pros don't work out for the college coaches.
Usually it doesn't, and especially I think with kind of his mindset of kind of wanting to have his thumb on everything and being in control. I think it's a little harder. It's harder to control guys that are making 2-3 times what you're making.
Yes, it is.
So, that's a big difference.
In college, you don't have to worry about that because those guys aren't making nothing.
Well, I mean, supposedly they aren't making nothing. I bet you they're making something at Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Well, for a while there, all of us up here in Big Ten and it was then Big 8 country, we looked down on the southeastern United States, not South Carolina, North Carolina, but Florida, Alabama, Georgia, because they were crooked. We always thought they were paying their players, and a lot of their players did have felonies on their record. So we always kind of looked, yeah, okay, but they're playing. It was always Catholics against convicts or something, But but you really can't. And Urban Meyer was in there. He was one of the ones who was always forgiving his players.
Oh, he had a lot of criminal guys on the Florida teams. Yeah.
Well, then here we are with Nebraska. Tom Osborne, one of the great coaches of the 70s and 80s. His Nebraska, Oklahoma with Barry Switzer down there in Oklahoma is still a legend. But he gets a guy by the name of Lawrence Phillips.
Oh, yeah, I remember Lawrence Phillips.
Now, Lawrence Phillips was a talented running back. He was terrific, but he was total street. I mean, total hoodlum, total criminal.
As a matter of fact, the year they won the national championship with Lawrence Phillips, he was in the process. I don't know if he'd been charged with it, but he was in the process of getting a sexual assault charge at that point.
Oh, sure. Lawrence Phillips had a girlfriend, and he suspected the girlfriend was messing around. So he unexpectedly showed up at the girlfriend's apartment in the middle of the night, and the door was locked. So he climbed up to the second or third story. This guy was jealous, and he got in through the sliding doors, the French type doors. No, not French doors, but the sliding doors, and found his girlfriend with somebody. The guy ran and locked himself in the closet and hid in there. And Lawrence beat up the girlfriend and drug her all the way downstairs by her heels. You know who the boyfriend was?
No.
Scott Frost.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of that. Now that he's a big hero back in Nebraska, of course, he hasn't performed yet either. But where are they going to go after Scott Frost?
Who knows?
But I've never been a Scott Frost fan. And I know he was a good player, and I know he had great success at Central Florida.
Well, how do you sit in a closet and let a woman get beat up like
Thank
that?
you very much. If you got an ounce of manhood in you, and I know it's Lawrence Phillips, big man, 200
and he's gonna beat the brakes off of you, but you just go out there
you go out there and take it. And while I'm on the ground taking shots, I'm going, call the police. But the one thing you don't do is you don't run into the closet and lock the door and let her take the beat.
And let her take it. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So you like Bama? You like it by a touchdown or 10
Yeah,
points?
I think a touchdown.
Touchdown. Well, that's a safe bet.
Yeah, I think it'll be a back and forth game. I don't expect it to be any sort of lopsided score, but I do like Bama in this situation. And, they would revoke my Southern card if I didn't take the Southern team in this situation. So I'll go with Bama.
Never be allowed south of the Mason-Dixon again. That'd be rough for you.
Yeah, I can't do that. I gotta be allowed, to be able to pass the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, one of these days we'll have to talk about the allure of the South to Southerners. I'm a Midwesterner. I'm happy with that, and I don't plan on leaving the Midwest, especially at my age. But I don't feel the intensity being from the Midwest that a lot of Southerners feel being from the South.
Probably.
And that is, in Texas they don't have it so much, but Georgia, Alabama, up into the Carolinas, and I worked in North Carolina a couple of years. In the interior of North Carolina is nothing to write home about, by the way.
Yeah. Now, the mountains are nice and the coast is really nice, but the middle and South Carolina is like that too.
Oh, is it
really? The upstate's really pretty, beautiful, got lakes, mountains, everything you want. The coast is beautiful. The middle, what they call the PD, they can have that place.
You mean the Piedmont?
Well, the Piedmont PD, because it kind of runs together or whatever. So.
All right, Rob, we actually went 10 minutes over our time, but that's all right. It was great to have you here. And if you do have time Friday morning or Friday afternoon or wherever it is, I'll see when those guys are going to come in.
We'll see what we can do on Friday. I will be on the road for basketball on Friday, so I may not be able to make it this week.
Oh, that's right. Who we got the Dodgers playing?
Tonight, we've got Ames at home. Fort Dodge taking on Ames at home tonight. A chance to listen to that game on 92.1, 92 Rock tonight. 6:15 tip in the girls game, and then the boys game. And the boys game's interesting because Ames has got Division I prospect Taman Lipsey. He's healthy after tearing his ACL last year. He's got offers from Iowa State, Nebraska, and Minnesota. So looking forward to seeing him up close and personal tonight.
All right. Rob Jones, been our guest. Thank you very much, Rob.
And thank you, Mike.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh from Active Health Clinics.
And I'm Dr. Zach. It's 2021, and we're in the new age of healthcare.
We want to get you excited about the new and cutting-edge alternative healthcare opportunities we offer to our patients.
Let us teach you how to avoid drugs and unnecessary surgeries by using our body to heal itself with regenerative medicine.
The possibilities Active Health Clinics is bringing to you are endless. Our patients won't be restricted by pain or injury, and they'll live their best life.
Find out more when you visit us at Active Health Clinics, Fort Dodge.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. A Webster County man is facing multiple charges after being arrested last week in Greene County. 33-year-old Fort Dodge resident Jonathan Kennedy was arrested on an outstanding warrant last Thursday morning at the Casey's General Store in Grand Junction. The felony warrant was for an alleged burglary incident from early December. According to the police report, Kennedy was searched upon his arrest. The search turned up marijuana and meth along with stolen property. Kennedy was then charged with third or subsequent offense of possession of a controlled substance and another count of controlled substance possession. The city of Jefferson has a new city attorney for the first time in nearly 3 decades. David Moraine has been named to the position, replacing longtime Jefferson city attorney Bob Schwarzkopf, who held the office for 29 years. Moraine graduated from Drake University Law School in 2006 after getting his undergrad degree at Simpson College. He has served as the city attorney in multiple towns in Iowa prior and was a Greene County magistrate judge from 2016 to 2019. Moraine officially took office on New Year's Day. High school basketball from last night and games heard on Sunny 99.7 and yourfortdodge.com. St. Edmund got a road sweep at Webster City. The girls' game would be a back-and-forth affair with the game being tied 8 different times. The game was knotted up at 29 when Leah Johnson would go to the free throw line with 4 seconds left for St. Edmund.
Her second free throw is up and good. The most important free throw of the game for the Gales goes through as Leah Johnson gets into the scoring column.
KC Miners on the call of the Johnson free throw. That put the Gales up 30-29. Webster City would have one final shot.
Schultz is going to quickly dribble it up in the court with 2 seconds left. Her shot in the lane is up. No good, and the Gales are going to get their first win here tonight in Webster City, 30-29.
The win broke a 29-game losing skid for the St. Edmund girls program that dated back to February of 2019. It's the first win of the season and the first win under head coach C.J. Tracy. In the boys' game, it would be high drama as well as St. Edmund would bounce back after trailing 7-0 early. The Gales got back-to-back threes late in the game from Anthony Lacina to keep pace. Drew Schaefer would get a bucket to put the Gales up for good with under a minute, and Quentin McCarville would knock down 2 free throws late to help ice the 52-49 win for St. Edmund. For Webster City, Tyler Olson and Ty McKinney had 19 each. Drew Schaefer led St. Edmund with 17. Sophomore Jackson Palmer had 11, and Hayden Mayer added 9. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. March corn up 8 cents at $4.91 3/4. May up 8 1/4 at $4.92 1/2. July corn closed up 8 1/4 at $4.90 1/2. September up 4 3/4 at $4.52. January soybeans up 33 1/2 cents. It closed at $13.50. March up 34 at $13.47. May up 35 cents at $13.46 1/4. July up 31 3/4 at $13.35 1/2. Soybean meal closed up $8.20 at $435.40. February live cattle up $275 at $115.05. April up $285 at $119.10. January feeder cattle up $172 at $136.67. March up $1.40 at $137.42. February lean hogs down 30 cents at $70.92, and April up 47 cents at $74.10. I'm Dwayne Murley.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. It's 2:45, 15 minutes before 3 o'clock, and the news. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. I'm sorry to report to you the passing of my old friend, everybody's old friend, George Hazel. George Hazel of Wayzata, Minnesota, former longtime resident of Fort Dodge, died on Sunday in Wayzata, Minnesota at the Folkestone Assisted Living Center there. There will be a mass of Christian burial for George Hazel, and that'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning, Saturday at the Holy Trinity Church here in town. George and his wife, Phyllis, were longtime members of the Sertoma Club. I was in the Sertoma Club in the 80s and 90s. And again, they were both just wonderful, wonderful people. I know everybody has to go, but boy, I sure wish George and Phyllis were still with us. That's for sure. Jim Jorgensen of Fort Dodge has passed away at the age of 81. He passed away on Sunday at his daughter's home in Badger. There will be a private family service for Jim Jorgensen at a later date. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 246.
A walk and some ice cream with someone sounds like the perfect treat.
Making pizza with someone who's as into it as me? What could be better?
Ready to make 2021 the year you meet people who love to do the same things you do? It's easy. 1, open laptop. 2, go to OurTime.com. 3, start for free. OurTime is the #1 dating site made for singles over 50. It's easy to use and can help you find people who just want to do something fun. Find someone over 50 who loves to do what you do on OurTime. Go to OurTime.com today and start for free.
Newsmax TV is the biggest thing on cable news, with shows including Dick Morris, Rudy Giuliani, Michelle Malkin, Diamond and Silk, Mike Huckabee, Alan Dershowitz, and more. Every night, watch Newsmax's #1 show, Greg Kelly Reports. Greg Kelly tells you the truth about Trump. Newsmax is on all major cable systems. Check your guide or tell your operator you want Newsmax. 30 million Americans watch Newsmax TV. And download the Newsmax app on your smartphone. It's free, so get Newsmax TV anytime, anywhere.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife, Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds, and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day, and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Stop smoking and lose weight now without cravings, irritability, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. Due to the coronavirus, the seminar will now be online live Thursday, January 28th or Saturday, January 30th for the Fort Dodge area. Get all the details at markpatrickseminars.com. Register now at markpatrickseminars.com.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com. On Twitter at JMike1400.
That's right. It's 2:49 now. Let's see what the temperature is. I just heard that a few minutes ago. Oh, it's I better refresh. It's telling me it's 39 degrees here, but I have a sneaky feeling that that's not necessarily true. It could be a little colder right now than 37 degrees. We're going to find out here. Yes, we are refreshing as we speak. That's right. It's much colder. It's 37 degrees. There we go. Overnight, cloudy, slight chance of snow. Tomorrow, snow. On Thursday, mostly cloudy. Friday, mostly cloudy. And Saturday, mostly cloudy. The temperatures will be in the upper 20s or lower 30s. Pretty much typical winter weather. we don't have any tremendous god awful storms headed our way. So that's the good news for today. I haven't seen a good Fort Dodge Senior High Ames basketball game since I made a trip out there specifically to see Harrison Barnes, who was with the Ames Little Cyclones. Now, Barnes was a phenomenon. He's still in the NBA as far as I know. Yeah. Barnes, I believe, is still in the NBA, but the Fort Dodge team at the time, and I don't remember who was on the team. I knew some of the young people on the team, the senior high team that year, and I can't remember what year it was now. But they were good basketball players, and of course, they focused on Barnes and tried to stop him, but it was just impossible. Barnes was just having himself a good old time. He was running up and down the court like nothing, dunking the ball or layups. Mainly layups. He didn't need to shoot from outside the circle or anything like that. So, yeah, he just had a great time, and it was great to see Harrison Barnes just a year or two before he entered the NBA. Does anybody know how many years Harrison Barnes spent in college? Maybe 1, maybe 2. I don't know. He went to where? North Carolina? I think he did. If I'm wrong, correct me. I'm just talking off the top of my head here from memory, and that sometimes doesn't work very well. But if anybody out there remembers or knows or is not in their car, so don't try looking it up on Wikipedia while driving down the road somewhere. Please don't do that. If you're safe in your home, look up Harrison Barnes in his college career and call 515-955-1400 and let us know what the situation is. 515-955-1400. Can you do that? Anyway, I just remember that. Funny how you remember things like that. But yeah, Barnes was something else. He really was. There was that kid from up in Northeast Iowa, too, that went to Kansas. He really didn't put on he didn't have a great career in the NBA at all, but he came to Fort Dodge one time. And I don't think it was to play Fort Dodge, but down here for a tournament. That's been quite a long time ago, too. Anyway, I'm getting plenty of texts anyway. Yeah, my friend in Florida can't believe it's 37 degrees here, but, those Southerners, what do you do with them? What do you do with them? Anyway, yeah, St. Ed's Ames tonight. So that'd be a good game to go to. The weather's not supposed to be, crazy. It's winter, of course, but it might be a game worth seeing. I don't know what the Little Cyclones look like this year. I don't even know what the senior high team looks like this year. And I should, but I don't. I'll try to correct that. Yeah, Nevin Mulholland and Randy Kuhlman will be here Friday at 4:10 actually. And we'll talk sports with those two sports authorities. I'm actually the sports authority, and Rob Jones is the sports authority. Those two, not so much. Just not so much. Well, they know more about basketball than I do. But it's basketball, and I'm directing this to my fellow wrestling fans out there. Is basketball and golf really sports? I mean, really? Come on, man. Really? I want to thank Councilman Nevin Conrad for agreeing to be here at 4:30 this afternoon. I do appreciate that. I asked Nevin to be here at the last minute, and he volunteered. There's some things that need to be discussed, of course. Councilman Jeff Halter, will be here at 3 o'clock on Thursday, just before the mayor. Jeff and others are concerned about animal control in the city of Fort Dodge. And I'll tell you, right north of this building where I live, just a few blocks north is where I live, there's cats everywhere, and what's going to happen to them in this weather? I mean, they die everywhere. And I guess that's the animal control problem that's most reported this time of year, is dead animals in the streets somewhere. I hate to see that. I know for a long time we just had one animal control officer. That was Blaine Hepp. I don't know if Blaine still has the job or not, but people expected too much from a one-man animal control office. If we really are serious about treating animals better, or even policing the streets better, we need more than one animal control officer. I mean, I think I heard, I don't think Blaine Hepp told me this, but I think I heard, yeah, I did, I know now, that Blaine was at a wedding and someone was insisting that they come out and take care of a dog that was in their neighborhood, or their dog was some dog was in trouble or had been left outside when it was cold. If I was the animal control officer, that might have cost me my job, because I'd have told that person, well, I would have gave them a lot of profanities and suggested they put their head where the moon don't shine, or perhaps their head was already where the moon doesn't shine. I don't know for sure what would have happened, but thankfully I was not in the position, and I never will be either. That's a job I wouldn't take. I would not do it. Also, Mayor Bemrick will be here Thursday. I think he will be. And the mayor has been a strong advocate over these many, many years to have a vibrant and fully staffed fire department. Well, our firefighters are a great asset, and Steve Hergenreiter is a great guy. He's a great guy to lead the department. We have a lot of good people there. Some, including myself, have questioned whether we need that many people over at the fire department. The mayor believes that we do, and I understand that there are some people at the Growth Alliance, looking at you, Denny Plouts, who believe that we got Cargill to come here and CJ America in part because we could guarantee them that in the event of emergency out there, we had, again, this fully trained, fully staffed fire department. But what did I hear? That there was like 47 members of the fire department? Is that, did I read that right, or did I see that right? Yeah, here it is right here. The fire department has 47 members. I'll tell you, for a town of 26,000, that's pretty heavy. And our county is what, 36,000? Don't know. By the way, unless something happens, a big story happens in our state or country, and the Georgia election could be big. I might be on Dave Price's segment this evening on WHO Channel 13. The reason I'll be there is to talk about my experiences with COVID, and I'll break it down for you here real quick. I was very healthy and having a good time in life, as I always did, when I got very, very sick. And I was in the hospital for a week, 5 days, 5 nights on oxygen, and damn near died in that week. That was about the first week of November. I steadily, thanks to the medical professionalism of the staff out at Unity Point, I made progress steadily. I went home with pneumonia, and that's what COVID brought on. COVID, of course, a respiratory disease, will stimulate things like pneumonia. And I got very sick with pneumonia for a few weeks, and I was home. And I thank, again, many people in Fort Dodge. I've mentioned Supervisor Conrad, Nikki Conrad, for helping. Steve Peterson out to Blue Ribbon. Without him, I don't know what would happen. But I was able to recover completely and fully, and it's great to be back at work. I'm not at 100% as far as my strength is concerned, but I bet I'm at 90%. And I haven't felt this good in 2 months. But in my takeaway from the entire thing, as I talked with Dave Price, I wouldn't presume to tell anybody what to do. I'm not one of those people who think that we ought to bring out the bureaucrats and make sure that we don't do anything ever. Or we do exactly as they say. I'm not that type of person. That's why I can never be a liberal, because liberals over time become totalitarians. They get that authority and the power, and like the governor of Michigan, that Gretchen, whatever her name is, she gets that power in her hand. She can't let it go. She just can't let it go. And she's a martyr now to some on the left, because a bunch of rednecks tried to kidnap her or something, which is never, ever the way to go. God almighty, kidnap the governor because of a masking policy. I understand it was grating. And these masking policies, yes, in Michigan, have cost people their life savings, that cost them their business. And the same thing applies here in Fort Dodge. There's going to be businesses that go out of business. And no, I'm not just talking about bars and restaurants. There'll be other businesses that go out of business because of COVID. So I wouldn't come on and say, even though I had a terrible experience with the COVID virus, COVID virus, I would never say what we have to do is shut down everything. But we have to mask up. I mean, you have children, grandchildren, parents, grandparents. If one of them dies of COVID, the question is going to be, where'd they get it? Where'd they get it? Who gave it to them? Well, if you're not wearing a mask, it could have been you. And that's just no way to go. All right, coming up on 3 o'clock, and you're listening to AM 1400 KVFD.
I'm Dave Ramsey. Join me every Monday through Friday afternoon from 5 to 8 p.m. on AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
It's starting already in Washington. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
We must stop the steal.
Supporters of President Trump gathering in the nation's capital ahead of tomorrow's joint session of Congress, where some Republicans plan to challenge the final step in the presidential election.
Freedom Plaza here, in between the Capitol building and the White House on Pennsylvania Avenue, is jammed with Trump fans. The National Park Service says it approved a permit for what it's calling the Rally for Revival. President Trump has tweeted that tomorrow he will be here for a historic day, part of protests surrounding the events going on in the Capitol building tomorrow, the certification, the counting of the electoral votes.
Fox's Rich Edson in D.C., where opponents of the president are also expected to rally. The two Republicans trying to keep control of the U.S. Senate in today's Georgia runoffs are urging voters not to sit on the sidelines. Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue releasing a joint statement a short time ago as Democrats Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff warned voters that the Biden agenda is at stake. Fox's Peter Ducey in Atlanta.
I had a chance earlier to ask the Democrat John Ossoff about one of the Republican closing arguments against him. Something that your Republican opponents are drawing a lot of attention to is a weeks-old comment from Chuck Schumer, where he said, now we take Georgia, then we change America. Is that something that you find particularly helpful?
Here's the kind of change that the people of Georgia are crying out for. Equal justice under the law.
No big election night party planned for the Democratic candidates, but Republicans have one set up at a hotel here in Atlanta.
The polls close about 3 hours from now. A joint statement from U.S. agencies, including the FBI, now says Russia is likely to blame for the recent hacking of federal agencies still under investigation, that it appears to be an intelligence gathering effort. America's listening to Fox News.
Hello? Hi, I'm calling on behalf of the Mice Nest.
Mice nest?
Yes, Mice Nest. It's a nest of mice. They finished chewing through your RV wiring, so the fire should start soon.
Can we cancel that?
Oh, sorry. Once scheduled, they can't really stop because they're mice. A nest of them.
RV owners can't schedule when things go wrong on the road. That's why there's Progressive, a leader in RV insurance.
Oh, and if you could stay on the